Hi, and welcome to the I Ramble podcast. We're an entrepreneur-centric podcast, guiding you with some tried and true strategies from people that have taken their ideas from mental creation to reality. Now they're trying to make it easier for you to succeed in your endeavors. So sit back and listen to these entrepreneurs, builders, and designers share the step-by-step formulation of their business. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for new episodes. Enjoy!
What the business is, that's not rhetorical. That's a real question. What the business is. And today the business is modeling. I reached out to this lady so we can get some good information on how to enter the world of modeling, if that's what you're into. Or if you just wanted to gain some information just like I did. I wanted to know a lot of the behind the scenes, how it go. So I reached out to her and asked her, could she give me some guidance and give you some guidance on how that goes. So I ain't going to do her no disservice. I'm going to let her introduce herself. How you doing today?
Hey.
What's your name? What you mean? Hey. What's your name? What's up?
Well, it's your girl, Phylisia Slim.
Okay. Where you from, Phylisia Slim?
I'm originally from New York, the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
Been living here in Atlanta for, going 16 years now. 16 years, yeah.
Okay. And you was into modeling when you were in New York, or how did you get into modeling? And
I started training in New York at Bob's on Modeling School. So I started my training when I was young.
Okay.
And that's where I got all my training experience and everything up back home in New York.
Okay.
So when I came here, I already knew the minor stuff and the main things. I already knew what I was supposed to do. All I had to do was build my portfolio.
Build your portfolio. Okay. So you said you already knew what you're supposed to do and all of those different things. So did you get the training? Like when I say I wanted to get some information, it's like, I watch and I see the walks and the things models do and how they do. So did you get a schooling on how to do that?
Yeah, that's Bob's on Modeling School was pretty expensive.
Okay.
I tell a lot of people at times it is wise to invest in yourself. So my mom paid for my modeling school. So that was the nicest thing she ever done as far as my modeling career. She was the one that started it for me. So she did pay for my school. I did learn everything. So that's why I said it is good to invest into anything that you are passionate about and learning it the right way.
Okay. So you went to the school. How long was that?
It was actually a couple of months. I left to come to Georgia the last month. I didn't get to graduate. That's the only sad part.
Okay.
I didn't get to graduate. If I would have graduated, the president loved me. She would have signed me, but I left New York to come to Georgia. So I had to start all over again.
How so?
Because Georgia is not New York. Modeling is not the same here.
What's the difference? That's what we're here for.
Gosh. It's not. No. Let's just say Georgia is not
known for runway modeling or not.
No, it's not for fashion. It's not.
Okay, but people swagged out. So what do you mean when it's not for? Okay, because another one of the questions I was going to ask you later on, so you kind of got into it a little earlier, was you moved to Georgia from New York, but was it a conscious modeling thing, or was it a family thing why you ended up moving here? And then the next thing was modeling in LA and New York is different. I get that part for people who don't really know. Mm-hmm. So when you say Atlanta is not like that, is because Atlanta not known for modeling like that in the fashion world?
Right. Well, I moved here because of family reasons, but the reason why, New York, I could just speak of New York. I haven't been modeling in LA as of yet. But I know New York and Atlanta, the difference is that New York is just fashion. It's home of the fashion state. So it's where opportunities do start. It's where trends do start. It's up north in New York. They're the one that start the new trending of what's happening, what's going to be new. While Georgia now, they're not spontaneous like that. They're not going to start a new trend. They're more waiting to see what is new, and then they follow the trend. So because of that, the fashion industry, it's not going to be in the South because they're more of a follower state, I call it.
Okay.
Where they're waiting on the trend from up north. Yeah.
Okay. I definitely don't think they'll think that, because for me being down here, I already know everywhere you are, there's a wave. And I'm not, I can't speak on the modeling level of it.
I guarantee you, when it came here, it's been past New York already. By the time Georgia had it, it's been past New York. It's old news for them.
Well, that's what we got you here, so you can give us the guidance in terms of modeling. I just know every place in every state have their own swag, their own style, and
yeah, of course,
people go off of kind of what that is. They ride
music for Atlanta, not fashion.
Yeah, well, that's why you're here to enlighten us on it. You know what I mean? So for someone to try to get into modeling, they'll know, okay, if I'm here in Atlanta, or if you're in the Midwest and you're trying to get into music, or if you're in wherever you are and you're trying to get into whatever, you kind of want to go to where the mecca of that is, or wherever that is thriving and popping, and go do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I mean when I say that. Every place got its own style, swag, and feel. And hey, that's just me anyway. I just always felt the South did have a dope swag. But elaborate. So you went to your schooling there, you came here, you didn't graduate, and in the meantime, you had to do some form. How did you get into it down here then?
So what I did was, there was a website called Model Mayhem. I believe it's still up. It's good for upcoming models out there, young ladies, young guys. If you do want to get in the industry, it's good to do trade-ins, meaning that trade-ins is more like for photographers that just starting doing their work and they want to build their portfolio as well. So do you. It's good to collaborate with them, and they get the pictures and you get your pictures, and you build it from then. So that's what I did. I joined the website Model Mayhem, and I networked with a lot of photographers. And through that's when I build my portfolio up.
That's dope that you say that, because we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, where some of the photographers that you know from back then when y'all were just networking, now we're doing big things. So you got to kind of re-network. So kind of speak to the importance of still networking with those people. Was there any kind of disconnect between you and those photographers where you feel like?
Yeah. Of course, everybody goes different ways, and we disconnect and all that, but we don't forget each other. That's one thing about us, is that, oh yeah, I know Slim, or I know this one because we worked together before.
Okay.
But now, it's hard to get freebies from my people now, because now they're experts. Just like I'm an expert. I'm not doing no free runway shows no more and all that stuff, which in the beginning I had to do my networking.
Right.
So now everything has changed, but what I do know, it's good to maintain networking, because it's always somebody new come in. So when there's somebody new, there goes somebody else you could collaborate with, because they're new. Okay. But then it just depends how you want to continue your brand with the new person, how they're going to, how your brand got to look, comparing to somebody that don't know what they're doing yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but with something like that, now, don't you kind of now take the wheel as a coach, as a teacher to someone, a new photographer, where you're saying, okay, from my experience with angles, maybe you should do this, that? Do you have that confidence that when you're dealing with someone new who's willing to take freebies for you?
Right. You see, but my thing is, one thing I do know a lot of photographers love to work with me about is that I've never been a model where you have to direct what to do when it comes to my poses. I always been the one to pose, and I always been the one that was more visual into what the theme is going to be, or what is the concept of the photo shoot. So because of that, I always been directing as far as, okay, this is the theme, this is what I'm going to do, this is the pose, and they just go from there. So it's always been easy for me to work with photographers, because all they got to do is know how to edit it and know how to click the button and take it. Other than that, you're good.
Okay. So to backtrack a little bit, so that's something you always knew you wanted to do, getting into modeling, because obviously you get into modeling is because, okay, how you look or how your body structure is and things like that. But other than that, was that something that you just knew you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's something I always was doing since I was a little girl. I always take pictures. Love to
Okay.
take pictures.
Okay.
So I was more of a picture person in fashion. I always loved fashion. So runway was something I had to get used to because of my height. So that was where a lot of people seen that I would be more valuable in was high fashion, which was runway. So even though I could care less about runway, I'd rather print all day because it's more fun. But runway is more
structured.
It's structured big time, yeah.
So you have to do this, that, and the third where you have more leeway or with print. But so could break down the two, the difference.
Print goes with the flow more, and you could be modeling for different brands. It doesn't have to be clothes. It could be shoes. It could be pocketbooks, whatever. So they don't care about your size so much. They're not really strict. They like you. They like how you take pictures. That's all. It's more commercial than anything. You make them money. They make you money.
Okay.
While runway is more where it's the designer. The designer pick their models. They like you. They have a whole bunch of clothes that they want you to wear. You got to go back and forth, in and out. It's work, constantly work, where you have to change this outfit, go into another outfit, and you get a set pay for the runway, and that's about it. It's not a lot of money in runway. That's what a lot of people don't know. So that's why a lot of models...
With bigger names, or you got to do a lot of work to accumulate it?
It's still print that wins, because print gets the royalties. They get more when it comes to print commercials. You still get more.
Okay.
Because think about it, if you in a billboard, you just did a print for Abercrombie and Fitch. You know what I'm saying? Every time your face, your picture is there goes your royalty, there goes your money, compared to just runway, which is a couple nights for Fashion Week, and that's it. Or whatever night they need you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, like I said, it's still more money in the commercial scene than runway. And then, of course, they're stricter too. You got to maintain your look, maintain your weight. It's real structure more with runway. This is how they seen you. You had to stay that way. There's no changing.
So is that really... Okay, because I know we talked earlier about having either an agent, I'm not sure what you call it in the fashion world. Right. So now your agent try to make sure you stay within that scope of what you're seen and known for, as opposed to print where you can kind of fluctuate in weight a bit more. Is that kind of okay? All right.
Yeah, because you could have for instance, I got signed. My first agency was in New York. So your agent is going to see, they could offer you a non-exclusive contract or exclusive contract. So for instance, they would look at you and see, they would know which one you would give them more money out of. Is that a runway or print?
And that's what they're thinking about when they're signing you and deciding what you're going to adhere to.
Right. You could be there to do both, but they know they could give you a 2-year contract, let's just say. And for my runway, it was exclusive, and my print was non-exclusive. Just saying, just for example. One meaning for runways, for all of the Northeast, I couldn't be signed to no other agency in Northeast. Just them for runways, shows. Okay. But for print, I could do whatever I want with anybody, because that was our contract. But if I go to the Southeast, I come back to Georgia now, I could do whatever I want because I'm not signed in Georgia. I'm not signed, but still. Ain't nothing here, but I'm just saying.
All right, no worries.
You just gotta know when it comes to your contract, you just gotta know that, okay, this is your contract. And most of the time, even being signed, that doesn't mean you're going to get work. I learned a lot of stuff after getting signed to an agency.
Did you limit yourself by taking a deal? So you're looking back on that with the hindsight, like, okay, now I'm a seasoned vet. I know I should have did this, that, and the third. So did you limit yourself by taking an exclusive contract to do runway as opposed to print where you could have did, or what else could you have done?
I I can't say. See, I started my agency at a tough time when it was the pandemic hit. So I didn't really get to really take advantage of my full contract because I was signed in New York, but I lived in Georgia. So what I did was only come back home in New York for Fashion Week, which is twice a year in, February and September. That's it. That's all I did. But now if I lived up in New York, I would have got more work. I could be able to go to more casting calls to get booked.
Okay.
But if I'm not local, most of the time you cannot go to those casting calls because you're not local. So
it's the kind of a decision you have to make type of thing.
Right. So I just went there to Fashion Week for 2 years, and that was the best thing I could have done at that time.
So giving advice to someone to structure their career coming in new, obviously, okay, let's get into the parent guidance side of it, kind of, right? So you said your mom's paid for your schooling and things like that, right? So did you think that you could have did better had you stayed in New York and grew there?
Of course. I always said that I should have stayed my butt home. I should have stayed in Georgia, New York. I always say it, but I know I would have been somewhere way, way bigger than what I am right now if I was back home in New York. I know that. But because I'm the type to put family first, I've always been that type.
But then I think it kind of was age driven too, because were you old enough to kind of?
No, I was 15.
Yeah, so you couldn't but it's just looking back and knowing that the fruits would have been better in your career if you were based there to be able to take advantage of those things.
Right, because of what my passion was, basically.
Right.
My passion was in that state that I would have blossomed more, And that can't say, what if my passion was in music? I would have been better off here then. But, it's just, that was just not the case. And over here, modeling is something that it's just a hobby for me in Georgia, honestly.
So did you think that to transition back to New York, or my other thought was, okay, LA, where are the other places where modeling is kind of a hotbed?
Overseas, of course.
More so?
I was
or what?
overseas. Overseas was my next goal to do, because I was trying to go back home to New York and be with them a little longer, and then try to get signed to an agency overseas. It could be where's it called? London, or it could be Germany.
Countries, okay.
Yeah.
There's certain countries that are more popping and okay.
Yeah.
High level, top shelf.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always wondered that too when because I saw your pictures before, and like I was telling you, whenever you strike a pose like you believe that pose. So it harkened back to kind of what you said earlier, where the cameraman really didn't have a lot of work to do because you believed in what you were doing.
Right.
So your pose was kind of always on point.
Right. A lot of people don't know acting is modeling. And it's not easy. It's just that we don't speak. So think about it. It's like you gotta act by your body language and by your eyes and that's it. You can't let people know how you feel through words, which is much harder. So a lot of people think it's easy. It's not easy.
It's for them to think that, but if you do it,
Yeah, it's harder. I tell a lot of people it's harder to do print than runway. Only because you got to know what you're modeling. You got to model that product. You're just there to model whatever product it is. So you got to show, express what you're modeling, what you're selling.
Do you necessarily got to believe that you would wear this, or you're selling that you would wear it?
You have to believe it. If you don't believe it, they could tell. It's not going to be real. It's not going to be real. It's just like, I would never forget American Next Top Model. I was in top 8. I almost made a show. But I ended up working with one of the judges in New York Fashion Week when I got signed. Okay. And I ended up asking her a really good, valid question, which was, how come I didn't make it on the show? I just thought it was just a light skin, because light skin African-American girls have it hard in modeling. They love
Okay.
them chocolate African, they love them chocolate girls.
And I would think that would be the opposite, kind of. But then I remember, like I was asking you earlier, there was this one model I saw, and she had a nice dark skull tone, and I'm like, okay, wow, maybe it's because she's selling that outfit more because of the contrast, or is it the confidence of the walking? I'm not sure. So, for I kind of like
you cannot outshine the product. That's what it is.
Are you known? Are you told to do that, or you just know that, or what?
No, you know that. You just have to know that. So basically, like for instance, American Next Top Model, I found out I was too experienced. Sometimes you could be too experienced, where they don't want you mold. They want to mold somebody. Their purpose to mold somebody. Then somebody that's too experienced, and they're like, oh snap, she already know what she's
I
doing.
know kind of what you're saying.
And so that's how American Next Top Model was. And a lot of girls don't know where modeling is not the type to. There's it could be a lot of negativity as far as confident level, because you don't feel good enough. And there's a lot of girls there that there's not a lot of support for one another in modeling world. Let's just be real.
I don't know.
I'm being honest. Everybody's competition with competition.
It makes sense.
If they see, and it's sad that us African Americans, we don't get picked a lot. So for like one designer, they would pick like 5 to 7 Caucasian girls and pick 1 or 2 African American girls. So if you see one African American girl get picked, it's either she's the only one, or please let them pick one more and let it be me.
Did you ever speak to any of the designers to find out the theory behind that, or you just felt the way and
they try to be diverse? They always say, and I said, okay, if you're trying to be diverse, why is it so much Caucasian? To me, they look the same.
I don't know. I'm not there.
But that's how blunt I be, because it's true. If they all have blonde hair, what's the difference? To me, they all look alike. So why do we get more African American and more Asian and more, even if you do go Caucasian, do a redhead one, with freckles or something.
I can't control what their theory and thought is. I don't, like I say, I just try to gain the information. I can't really decide what someone thinking, how they formulate their business or what they do.
Okay, but that's how the modeling world is, people. Just preparing you guys from New York high fashion model. That's how the truth is when it comes to being a professional signed model. Now, there's a difference with a signed model and a freelance model. So there's the two difference.
Okay, and the freelance model is?
You're just a freelance model. You're just modeling. Really, most of the time, you're modeling for free. Yeah, you're just modeling for network, and that's something I did in the beginning of my modeling industry when I moved to Georgia, because again, I had to start from scratch. But a lot of models, they have to be a freelance model before they could start as a signed model.
Okay, so you kind of build as you grow and decide the lane that you decide to roll in and go with that.
Yeah, because you have to have your portfolio ready, and you have to have experience in your walk. Basically, you have to be ready before you get signed to an agent. They don't have time to school you or bring you to school or nothing like that. You got to put in the work yourself.
It's basically an adult world.
Right.
At that point, and the guidance from your parents, your support system, that kind of help you through whatever you're going through. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how does it go in terms of weight and staying in a good regimen? I know you were saying earlier you try to stay in the gym, try to keep a good structure going so that you can kind of not necessarily freelance, but adhere to whatever designer who chooses you to do that show or event.
Well, yeah, everybody have their own way of working out. I tell a lot of people, as long as you're active, you keep yourself active and keep yourself trim and looking healthy and well, you should be fine. I love to dance. I love to do my Pilates, but that's the way I work out. Other people could love to, love to hike. Other people love doing different stuff. As long as you keep your body in that shape, because one thing about them is that they don't want to, you can't look like a different person than what you were before. Like they sign you looking this way, They want you to maintain that look.
And that's within having a contract, or that's just within working with that particular designer? Or
that's just having a contract.
Okay.
Like if they're going to find you work, you got to look like that person still.
So that's where you just got to keep your upkeep, your daily regimen.
Yeah, especially I tell a lot of women, don't know when they have to change their look or when not to change their look. I knew I had to change my look when I had to go back home to New York because I couldn't look like everybody else. You got to look unique and you got to look like somebody that they can remember. So I just tell a lot of models, just remember, it's not good to look like everybody else. It's better to
look how you look naturally.
Well, yeah, I'm meaning like for hairstyles, for example.
Okay.
It's just like, because you see everybody wearing weave doesn't mean you got to wear the weave either. You got to stand out and be different.
I always thought that was a part of modeling anyway, was that you brought an individuality to it. So you wasn't chosen because you were blonde. You were chosen because you had that nice walk. Because we talked about that a little bit, where I asked you, was walking taught, or did you have a natural walk that you went with because it's how you walk anyway? Mm-hmm. Or I just always thought individuality was always a great selling point for being, in the modeling industry.
Yeah, you have to have your own individual thing, and you have to stand out, basically. You can't be a person that fit into the crowd.
And that would get you more gigs or more offers or what?
Right. You'll be remembered. You'll be remembered more because of your uniqueness or whatever it is. They will remember your face or remember that, that style you had, whatever it is.
Okay. So what your guidance now you're looking back on, if you started out differently, what would you was there anything you would kind of do different or anything you would change per se? Because obviously you couldn't change really your weight class that you're in, which is 1 to 3, I'm assuming. But other than that, would you switch your walk up, switch your hair up, or the schooling? What would you think? You would
I wouldn't really change anything. I think I couldn't go back home to New York, so, I think I did everything I can. I learned from the best. It got rewarded. I reward myself from it. Then I ended up being an instructor. I could teach, models upcoming. So I think the steps that I did was pretty good.
So is that something you're doing ongoing now, the teaching, the giving back?
Right, yeah. So certain schools, or upcoming modeling schools, whatever, will book me to be their coach or instructor
for their model. What kind of things you getting into with that?
Like
teaching them
teaching the walk, teaching how to take pictures, everything as far as the modeling industry. Letting you learn the terminology words, things like that, what to expect, how to avoid scammers, things like that. Because I've been through everything.
That's one of the things with any kind of business or industry. There's always the taking advantage of us. So that's a lot of why we do what we do with the podcast, is kind of give you some guidance so you don't fall victim or have a smooth path or smoother path in whatever venture you're venturing in. So it's kind of good that you say that when you're even teaching these new models, that you're giving them advice on how to not even to harp on any kind of profession in that trade, but there's always someone coming with a skim scam to say this, that, and the third. So it's good that you're teaching how to catch the red flags or pick up on, whatever could happen to throw you off in what you're doing. So that's a good thing too. So other than the walk-in, what else? How does the financial aspect go? You're coaching that way too as well, or how far are you getting into it?
Well, because of the pandemic, they closed the school down. So right now, I'm not really focusing so much on the modeling. doing other stuff like my writing. So I fluctuate as either modeling or writing or dancing, whichever I feel like I'm in the mood for.
Okay, so not well, good transition. You got you into your writing. You put your book out quite some time ago, and that's been doing well. So, and I know when we talked about it, it's written from a two-person perspective, Phylisia and Slim. So,
Yeah.
kind of elaborate on that a little bit, so we get an understanding of that.
Well, not a lot of people know that I am an author because of people just see me as just a model. But
People put you in a limit box.
So I've been modeling ever since I was a little girl, but I started writing my book at 19 years old, and I self-published it at the age of 20.
What's the name of your book, though, Phylisia?
When Will This Dark Cloud End?
Okay.
So it's underneath my my brand name is My Shade of Colors. They can look it up on My Shade of Colors with the S at the end.com.
We're gonna get into that later, but let's get into it now. Spell that out and then tell us what that means to you, and then you can kind of.
Oh, okay. So it's MYSHADEOF as in Frank, COLORS as in Sam.com.
Okay.
My shade of colors basically just mean I'm multitasking. I can't be in one box. So my shade of colors, it could be today I could feel like I'm green, or today I'd be blue or red or black.
Don't limit you.
It's just don't limit me. I could be like I said, I could be modeling this time, dancing that time, writing. My mood is like colors. That's how I look at it. So that's what my brand means to me.
I actually think that's fantastic because I do electrical work and I love entrepreneuring. So a lot of time people be like, oh, he does electrical. I'm like, don't limit me. I'm joking, but I'm serious at the same time. I'm like, let's not limit each other. This may be what you do per se, but you're multifaceted. But that's good that you say that. That's fantastic. So don't limit you. You model, so you may know me for modeling, but I also do these other things too. So you're an author. Go ahead.
Right. Well, what I was saying is that I started at 19 and then I ended up self-publishing at 26. It took me a good 7 years to write it. It would have been 5 years, but I took a 2-year break. A lot of people, writing was my first passion. And because I'm not really a vocal person, I tend to write it out more. And Phylisia Slim, a lot of people don't know. They can't pronounce my name properly. A lot of people say Phylisia, which is Phylisia.
Yeah, because that's the tried and true known name. But, we put our spin on things. So, yeah.
So I just be like, okay. So Phylisia, what I did was, my book is like a poetry autobiography book. So it's from the age of 9 to 19. And what I did was each chapter is basically Slim is the character in the book, and Phylisia is the poetry side each chapter ends with a poem. So Phylisia is the side where a lot of people get to see or get to experience, while Slim is the character in the book that you're reading. That's how I did it, basically.
Okay. And I know we talked about that you sent the first, I called it the draft, but what was the proper terminology?
Oh, the prologue?
The prologue, and the editor did a little bit more editing than you had expected, which they changed your voice, you said. So, and that kind of triggered my brain a little bit because I wanted to know, like, what did you mean by that? When you said they changed your voice, did it change the whole feel of what you was trying to convey in the book when they did that too as well?
Yeah. So I told a lot of people when I was writing my book, I wanted to hire an editor. A lot of people, I was conflicted. Either keep it raw or get an editor.
Mm.
So I decided to give like a prologue, which is like 3 pages to an editor, just to see what they could do. I told them, do not talk, do not touch or edit, do not edit Phylisia, which is the poetry side in there. Just don't touch the poetry side, but everything else they could edit. So the gentleman ended up expanding the 3 pages, turned into like 15, 17 pages, and he charged me per page.
And did that add any body to what was going on in terms of what they felt was not there, or was that just done on a business decision?
I believe that was done with a business decision because what he did was change the voice of Slim. So when I read the chapter after they edited, it was not Slim that was speaking anymore. It was somebody that was totally different.
So they added to Slim or took Slim
They
totally
took
out
Slim
of
out and put in a new character then.
kinda. Okay, okay.
Right. That's what they did. And because of that, I was really pissed. I was upset, of course, and I refused to pay. But they blackmailed me. And so just to avoid it, I did pay because I can't deal with the blackmail.
Yeah, we might not can get into all that
Right.
before they reach out to us because of that. But yeah, it was a bad experience overall, and that's I'm glad that you expound on some of these things, and like we try to keep it on a level where we gain the information, you put it out there so no one end up falling victim to kind of what you fell victim to in your building and growing process.
Well, yeah, as long as you guys know that sometimes with editors, some of them could just want money out of you, while some could be good for you. You just
That
gotta
believe
know.
in your work.
Yeah. So I just decided to keep it raw because that was better off where nobody can mess with my voice.
So that's kind of why you decided to self-publish, so it'd be just straight from you and not tainted by no one else editing and things like that.
Right.
And you found that was a harder process doing?
Right, because it was my story. It was different if it was a fiction book or, something made up or whatever. Yeah, I could probably, listen to somebody else's input on it. But because it was my life story, it was more fragile. Like, it's my baby. Mm-hmm. So it was different. Yeah.
Yeah, and being an expected mom, that's kind of levels to your baby. So yeah, you're bringing a baby forth. You kind of want that to be 100% you. No additives or what have you. But okay, so you went through that process, came out stronger, and got the book self-published. How was that?
Self-published actually was pretty hard because I'm not a marketing person. No.
So you would recommend someone hire someone to market, or would you have looked in hindsight and try to learn more of it? What did you gain from that part?
I would say if you have the money to, you.
So it's a finance.
Yeah, if you have the finance to it, it's so worth it because you would get the money back. So it'll be worth it if you have the finance for it. Unfortunately, I didn't, so I had to do it myself, which is more difficult. It was more challenging. I could say. Amazon really did help a lot. I told a lot of people that's how I got it online. I got it to be printed out on me. It's really through Amazon, through the Kindle Unlimited version. And they've been helpful. So I just tell a lot of people, you just gotta, no, if you're a marketing person, then okay, you good. But that was something I was good at. So it is challenging.
And so on your next version of the book, you're going to do what different? You're going to market it more? You're going to just hire someone with some strict guidelines to do it a little bit better, different, or what?
Yeah, my goal for in the future is I want to try to be published this time. I want to try to publish a route just because I want to experience both. I'm one of those type of girls where, I did it by myself, but then I also wanted the professional route with the support route so I can experience from both angles and know which is better for me.
Okay. So was it the fact that it was too hard to put it out yourself and you feel like the buffer of a marketing and advertising agency would kind of help you propel a little bit further, or or is it really just
It was a timing thing for me. At that time, I wanted to publish it at that time. So my birthday that year, I wanted to have my book. So it was more of a timer thing. Up to now, I can always keep chasing the dream and submitting inquiries out for me to get a publicist, and keep trying over and over again. I do believe it will come.
Mhm.
But again, at that time, 6 years ago, I just wanted my book. I was tired of waiting. I wanted to be considered an
so looking
author.
back, would you have actually waited, or you think?
No, I wouldn't. That's why I don't regret waiting. I didn't. I
Yeah.
don't regret nothing I did. I'm glad
No,
I
I
did.
know about the regretting. I'm more talking about the advice to someone else who would probably do exactly what you did, where as opposed to waiting, because okay, if you had went with a publisher, it would have been all roses, kinda. You know what I mean? They would have did the networking, publishing, built-in thing, but you learned a lot doing it yourself and going
Right,
through all the
right.
hardships of learning and all of that. So,
You just gotta know yourself. Like me, I'm alone. I'm a person that love to learn. I love to grow. So I'm not a person that tends well to, how should I put it, um, ordering me around, or how should I put it, telling me because they're doing something for me, I have to do this, or I have to timer. Because when somebody's investing in you, you got to have to be ready by this time. You got to get this done. You have more pressure on you. And I didn't want that at that time. I was young and I just wanted to do something. It was really a bucket list. It was before I die, really. I just wanted to be an author. It was just on my bucket list. So I'm glad I got that out the way. But for those people out there that do know that they want this to be for a lot of audience, a lot of people to read it and all that stuff, it's more for other people than it is for your own being, your own self to like woosah off of, because it was therapeutic too, right? And it's very therapeutic.
mhm.
So it wasn't for a lot of people. How should I put it? It wasn't, yeah, of course I want people to read my book, but it wasn't so much of me getting a publicist that was on my mind. I knew that I could bring more. It was just, if you have more to give to people, why not try to just do it yourself, see where it's at, then get a publicist later. They're not going to run away. Like, they're going to be there. That's how I look at it. But if this is your one and only baby, this is your one and only writer and your one and only book, and you want a publicist, go ahead and do it. Why not? Go ahead and do it. But I know this was not going to be my last. So I tried it this route first.
And then now that you did all of that, now you know what to implement or what to, give advice to when you do go to publicists out. They're going to still have those deadlines. They're still going to have all of those things with it. So are you trying to submit this particular book to get them to mass market it to a bigger publicist audience? Or is it the new book that you're going to compile and bring to someone else and do it the publicist route?
No, it's the first book. I don't mind if they take over the first book and remarket it. That would be awesome for me. But if they don't want to do the my old book, they don't want to do it because it's already out. Because some people's like that, because it's already out. They don't want nothing to do with it.
Even if they make changes or edits to it?
Some people are still like that, even if, which is, I wouldn't understand it. Is that their own stuff? But either way they put it, it's still more books to be, to have money off of. Because even if they do just a new book, people's going to have to still read the first book to know what's going on in the second book. So it's still going to sell for the first book anyways.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter. The way I did it was a little manipulation. So again, Yeah, that's slim for you. It's just a little like that. But
So, was the independent route, I know, was harder. You was able to just, do what Slim wanted to do. Was owning 100% or as important as being able to dictate it how you wanted it? You get me? Like they edit and they changed when you did it with the editor or a main company.
mm-hmm.
But when you did it, you just put it out how you wanted it to go. You know what I mean? How you said it, just natural or whatever. Was that even in your brain?
I could say it was more of I wanted it to be how I wanted it to be. Yes, after experience what I experienced with the editor, because I wanted to challenge, I wanted to see how many I could sell on my own without anybody's help.
Even though you knew that had you now network with a agency, they still would have went with it as is or not at all because they would have liked to have some input on what you were doing.
Right.
So you still would have took the risk of selling less, putting it out, having to do all of the hard marketing to even get it to a mass audience as opposed to the network.
Because like I said, I'm more of a challenger, so I like to know myself and what I'm capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I'd rather work by myself first to see what I could do or how it was when I was working by myself.
I wanted to hear.
Yeah, and then later on, because if you think about it, regardless of what, when you have more projects and you're talented, you're always going to have more. They can't take your brain from you. So they can't take my talent away from me. So me writing one book is nothing. I'm going to come up with another one. So even when I do come with another one, there goes when you guys are ready and when I'm ready for a publicist for my second book or whatever, just say, I'm going to still go at sales for the first book, which was more solo and just by myself without help.
Mm-hmm.
But because that was a book that I learned from on my own with the struggles and everything on my own, I'm going to get rewarded 100% everything on my own for that one book. But the second one, the third one, whichever, because of their help, that's fine. But at the same time, there goes comparison. There goes the fans. There goes them saying that, okay, you know what? Phylisia's first book was she by herself. I really loved it,
That's what I think too when I say people, if you play for the love or do whatever you do for the love, everything else is a byproduct. But you naturally do and what you're doing for the love to me is more better than if you try to do it for the accolades after the fact. It's more natural, it's more real. It's kind of what you was thinking when you say that or the hardship going through it.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. That's a good way of putting it. Because I wasn't thinking, that's why I tell a lot of people, I even have to correct my son when he be saying this. I don't care about, I just want to be rich. I just want to have money. I just look at him like, I don't know what you're talking about, little boy. You can't just think about money. It's not about the money. Because if you think about it, everything that I do, everything I didn't come off of money first.
Mm-hmm.
The modeling, I had to do that, not getting paid, not getting nothing. I had to invest my time, my money into it before I could even get paid for doing runway shows,
Mm-hmm.
So it was no money I was getting for the longest.
So you did it.
Just like writing, I had to do the writing and stuff and do all of that with no money. You get what I'm saying? Until later on, the money came in after. So that's just how it is. Yeah.
So do it for the passion, do it for what you do, the joy and all of that. And then whatever you're giving it to the universe to do what it's going to do to it anyway. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So once you're doing it from a natural, organic place, then it kind of,
Right. And you never know. I always tell them too, God bless a lot of people with more than one talent. And it's good I don't care what nobody says, it's good to do all the talent that you have, embrace it, because you never know which one is going to open up the door for you. You never know. That's why I just do everything at once.
But I have that thing too. It's a struggle because you have these ideas and then you want to try this, try that. But then they have these conventional rule of thumb where you need to have one thing done systematically before you move on to the next. So those are the things that you really need to do while struggle with the consistent barrage of wanting to do this, that, and
I don't believe in that. That's the thing. I don't believe
in it. It's somewhat of a hindrance. I don't know.
I don't believe in it because if you think about it, even if, for instance, if we were to do one thing at a time, we would have been just stuck at a 9-to-5 job doing something unhappy that we were doing.
The fact, I get that side of it because you're multitasking,
right? Because you're not doing nothing else. So how would you grow with anything else if you was just doing that one task?
So kind of mastering the micromanaging of the 9-to-5 while still doing the other thing, and still mastermind the other thing.
Right,
so it's like you can do all of these as long as you.
Yeah, I believe in that. You got to do everything at once.
I'm not going to say, I agree with that either, but I get the philosophy because I struggle with that tremendously where, I get thoughts and ideas and things like that and I want to, go off and start them when I know, I need to find I won't even speak on it, but I'm fine tuning this because we don't really do any edits. And I don't like to edit my guests because I like them to speak from their experience. I can't edit your experience. The only thing we try to do is not be offensive to anybody who might be listening. So I wasn't there when you went through anything you went through, but I love to hear about it. You know what I mean? Because people go through it. It wasn't germane. It wasn't universal or just you. Someone else might have felt the same way you felt about the modeling agency or all of these different things. You know what I mean? So I don't want to say, no, don't say that. No. I like you to express your opinion, your experiences and things like that. So, I like that part of it too as well. But we just always strive not to be offensive in anything we do because we don't mean no offense in anything we say. But what you went through is what you went through. And I can't say you didn't. I can't say it wasn't true because obviously you were the one there at the runway. You were the one there getting the calls. You were the one there seeing this, that, and the third. So I understand that. But saying that, run with all 10 of these ideas you have, I don't know. I'm like, formalize 1 or 2, get them rolling systematically, and then.
Yeah. You can start somewhere and then move up from there. That's fine.
That's fine too, huh?
That's fine too. That's fine.
That's just not what Slim do. Slim roll with everything.
Just go by my move, go by the color I'm in, and I just roll with it.
Nothing wrong. Well, let me don't say nothing wrong with that. That's your philosophy. And if it's working for you, it's tried and true according to you, the world according to Slim, then shit. That's the word according to Slim.
Right.
Let you direct that movie, so.
Yeah.
So, we got into the difference between runway and print. I really did like that. I wanted to hear about that. We talked about the size and things like that too as well, because the fashion world in terms of sizes is getting. I'm liking it.
Of course.
Of course I am.
Yeah.
No, I'm liking the fact that it's equal opportunity. Slim women been winning out here in these streets in the modern world forever, ever. So it's like, I like it because here's what happens, Slim, real rap. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It's self-confidence. And you said it more so, and it dawned on me that it's happening more because people are more self-confident to wear this and do that, and designers are more confident to make this and make that.
Yeah.
Where back then it might not sell.
It wasn't, they was thinking about sales. That's all the designers were thinking about. And now that the plus sizes, a nice thick, luscious woman out there.
Don't be hating.
I am not hating. They look
sound like an
good.
undertone,
But now, and so all of them, they just nice and proud about it. They wear anything now because they're willing to wear anything now. The designer's like, yo, that means I can make my clothes in this size now because they will really buy it. And what they did was
Are they listening now more so, Slim? Because I had talked to somebody before and they're finding out, they were telling me that the designers are listening more. Is that kind of what it is, or is it a sale-driven thing?
It ain't about no listening more.
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you because you versed in that.
It's all about sales. They're looking at how, like I said, the self-confidence of the women now. The women are more bolder. They're more like, okay, if Lizzo over there could wear that and get away with it and she look hot anyways, I could be that too. And I want to wear that. Where I could buy those clothes at. So there goes the designers. They have to make clothes that could fit them. Because they know now that their stuff's going to sell in every size.
Isn't that giving a fair equal opportunity to people or women who was feeling like...
They should have been done that, yeah.
Yeah, but we're not harping on what was not done before. We're just saying it's a good thing they're doing it now.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what we adhering to?
Oh, it is a great thing they're doing it now.
So you find that at shows now, is it being incorporated or is it two different shows still?
It's by the designer now.
So the designer might still have you walk and then someone that's wearing a 5'6". Is that what that's kinda? Is it 5'6" or is it 7'8"? I'm not sure. I'm asking.
No.
So
Sizes.
Sizes, yeah. Because you were in the 1, 2, 3 range, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was it 4, 5, 6? What 4, 6, 8? How does it even go?
Yeah, they could be, like 8, 9, 10, or 6, So
it goes by really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10?
No, it goes by odd numbers, really, most of the time. It's really odd numbers that I know for my size. Okay. Like 1, then 3, then 5.
Okay, so there ain't no 2.
No, not really. Unless it's dresses. Like, it depends on what kind of clothes. Like, pants, there's odd numbers in pants. Like, certain clothes. But anyway, all I can say is that the designers we would have different type of designers. That's the thing in runway shows. So we would have, this is what they used to do. They would have designers that only have plus sizes. And then they would have designers that have regular clothes that make just for the mannequins.
What is regular clothes? You see, that's that whole stereotype, right? Regular clothes.
I mean, like, that's not a right word to put it. Okay, mannequin sizes, which is
I don't know, which is
runway models, which is size 1 or size 3 or size 2 in dresses or size 4 in dresses. Those are mannequin.
Those are 4 and lower.
Or 6 and below. That's mannequin sizes, basically.
That's what you see in the store window.
Right. So a lot of designers would sample their work off of mannequins. So the mannequins, now that they make the clothes on those mannequins, that's why they pick those models that's the same size as the mannequins. So there's certain designers that would just focus just on plus size and do that alone. But now they're doing a lot of designers are doing both. They never used to do both because that's a lot of money that they're putting into their fabrics, if you think about it, and don't know if it's going to come back for them. So they used to just focus on one category and that's it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. No. From the outside looking in, I got that part. I asked you a lot of what I asked you from I'm not sure. But so some of that I kind of got where it was the mannequin in the window. Right. And then it's the difference between large, extra large and extra, extra large. Right. Men go through that too. It was big and tall store.
That's the only thing I have.
Yeah, it was large. It was the regular store. Then they had to go to the big, tall, and large store to get, the odds and end sizes. So there is a typical size for men too, as well. But I've found, and I think I'm seeing where it's a mixture now, where actually I don't know, I'm not that tuned in where I'm seeing these shows or anything, but I'm just assuming that where there is a show where there was a 1 to 3, there's still a mixture of 5, 6, and what have you, just all in there as well, being all inclusive. Is it a all inclusive thing, or is it strictly, you know what? These people, women are men are more confident to try this style now, or what?
Yes, it could be that. It could be the style that the designer is making, that they could be like, okay, I don't know if they're going to wear my clothes or whatever, but now, okay, everybody's being more daring. It's trending. It could be a style that's trending, and they know that, okay, people are going to wear that now. So they make it in all sizes now. Because that's how designers are. They make the next trend. Yeah, they're trend setters.
I mean, that's just a byproduct of being a designer. You're a trendsetter. You're not staying stagnant. You know what I mean? So you rinse and repeat. You're putting bell bottoms out, but you're doing a different swag on it. You know, you're flaring it probably higher. You know, you're not going right to the ankle to taper it. You might start at the calf.
Right.
You know, you might put pockets in it. We was talking about that earlier. He's like, yeah, they kind of always were pockets, but I just thought bell bottoms typically was, you know, straight, tight all the way to the ankles, then flare out. But so it's not just it's a designer deciding what, okay, this might sell. So they're being more daring with it, or are they being bold for real?
Yes. I think they're just being more, diverse now, more cautious.
This is feeling deja vu-ish.
Way more cautious as far as,
I swear to God, but go ahead.
Picking up as far as making clothes, making designs for every different diverse of women's sizes now. Because like I said, women are now having a higher confident level to where they're not just feeling as though they're not beautiful anymore because they're size 13, 15, or whatever the case is. That's not how it is no more. Yeah, they're not like that anymore. Now the thickness is in style. Everybody want to be thick. Like, that's just it. So now they're embracing it. So
designers are embracing
yeah.
Don't that take a lot of redesigning now? Because obviously, okay, I think I'm speculating now. It went from the pants that could stretch to now you actually got to do some designing to really get that look. It's not
more
just
fabrics.
Yeah, it's not just
more fabrics, of course.
And then costs come involved, and whether you know.
So that's why it's more expensive being a designer for plus size. Now you see why it's because it's more money with the fabric to make the clothes.
But now they're seeing the cost benefit now, where the confidence,
they're getting the money back now
because of the confidence of wearing, which is good because I think it's a byproduct of not feeling confident in yourself overall. That you didn't wear those things. You just went and got the regular pants and the black but now you're feeling more confident in yourself as a person that you try those things, I'm thinking. No?
That's what I think. I think it's more to do with confident and, you know, them seeing. Like Lizzo, I love Lizzo. I think she's so daring.
I gotta check who Lizzo is.
She's a daring, hot little mama right there for me. And I'm glad that she's out here. I'm glad that she's out for the plus size women. I think she's a role model to them. Because she's showing, embracing her beauty. A lot of women are finally like, forget it. They're embracing it too, you know? So it's about time.
It's, to me, it was always just really just mental self-confident because there is someone for everybody. So it wasn't like they were women or men that were big were like, oh, I can't find love, because it's just the mental self-confidence of yourself to now say, I'm going to wear, you know.
I just think it's more boiled down to, like I said, the designers, where I'm happy that they are now taking the risks into making making more clothing that supports plus sizes now, so they could finally understand that, okay, they are willing to buy their clothes too, and they're willing to do it too, or wear that too. So I'm glad that they're taking the risks. A lot of designers were just iffy with that. because they didn't want to put a lot of money into something they wasn't going to get back. That's all it was.
I think you're right too, because I've talked with some boutique owners and they were leery many years ago to buy those sizes because they didn't think it would sell. So they were thinking, am I going to buy this? They would only buy small, medium, and large. And that was just it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're really saying, you know what, let me buy all different sizes. And it's actually, moving itself. So I think it trickles down from the designer being bold enough to even, not say even, to actually do what they should have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a trickle down all around. People need to feel confident in who they are and what size they are and all of the overall. And then it trickles to the designer saying, okay, I'm going to make all of these different sizes because I'm going to design this dress for every size, not just, and I'm assuming that the couture of it takes a different shape, a look opposed to the size, right? Right around.
Right.
So a small, when it gets to an extra large, looks a little different.
No. The clothes should be the same. It just depends on what type of fabric in the clothes. Like what kind, is it cotton? Is it, polyester? You don't know what kind of material they're using, basically. So it should all look the same, I think. Like, I don't know. I'm not no designer. You're asking me questions like I'm a designer.
I'm here looking at the stuff, so the small dress, once it reach whatever size it's the same drop.
Yeah, it should be the same dress, the same drop, the same dress, the same material, the same look.
Okay.
It should be the same dress.
I don't know. I'm just wondering.
It may look different on a certain women, like every women are different.
Naturally, makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. Anything we didn't cover you want to elaborate, cover, talk about? Like,
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Like the pageants and the choosing of the shows you partake in. I'm thinking we said it was based on the designer calling you or you staying multifaceted in what you put yourself out there for. Because what you were talking about, it was like a show that you would go and say necklaces and stuff like that.
Oh, trade shows.
Trade shows, yeah. Okay, how did that go?
So you could be booked for different things, and trade shows, it just depend on anything. It's trade shows, casting calls, anything like that you are going to get paid for your work or just getting paid for your time. You're going to model. They're going to pick you. So they're going to look at you, look at your work, which is your comp card that you bring. They may ask you to walk for them. And when you do that, they're going to decide if they like you or if you fit for one of their looks.
Okay.
Right? So once you do fit something, they will give you the call back, which is either they will call you or your agent, whichever the case may be.
Were you pro agent or pro independent, or what was that about?
When?
Ever.
I was with the agent.
You're independent with the book. You self-published with the agent. Are you pro staying independent and calling these shows, booking yourself, or you get an agent and let them book you?
Okay, so in New York, when it's Fashion Week, I let them do their job.